If you're a contractor or lender or whatever fucking industry you're in, literally the only competitive advantage you have is you.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Top 5 Challenges. I am here with Mike Claudio of WinRate Consulting. Mike has a ton of experience consulting and operating in the construction space. Mike, give us a little bit of a more in-depth intro, if you will, on what you do on the consulting side and what you've done on the construction side.
Yeah, sure. So just to build some credibility, like I started in corporate America about 10 years ago. I joined a remodeling company as vice president. I grew them very substantially, moved on to a roofing company, grew them substantially. By substantially, I mean by multiple hundreds of percent year over year. Like I took the roofing company from 2 to 6 million in 2 years.
Wow.
I've never ran $100 million company, but I could. I just haven't, right? Like I understand systems and processes around leadership, business development, and sales to grow top line and somewhat bottom line revenue. So for the last, 3 years now, I've been coaching. So I coach business owners typically at or below 25 million in revenue is my target audience. Most of my customers are between 1 and 10, or really around 5 and 10 million a year. And I help them with systems, processes, communication, leadership, general vision for their company, goal setting, transparency, trackability, metrics, that kind of stuff, building their brand, whatever that next season, that next level is for their company. You know, I also own a construction company now. So everybody's like, well, what do you know, Mike? Well, I started a demolition and grading company last year. We'll do about $1 million here in our first year. And I also run a nonprofit called A Champion Shoes.
I love it. I bought a few pairs of those. Continue every quarter.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Every quarter you got me. Dude, anything to give back to the community. I love that stuff. Same thing with what we do with KLM, and those guys speak very highly of you.
I've got to spend some time with Sean, just similar to you more recently, like, because we haven't really spent much time together. Me and Sean really hadn't before the last, couple months. And it's been great to get to know you guys and see. It's cool watching people who are making an impact.
Yeah. Thank you, man. We're all doing it together and separately in our own ways. Right.
Yep.
So one of the things I want to talk about is like, what are the top 5 challenges that you see in the construction space? And I know it could vary if you're a roofer versus
no, it doesn't. All business is the same. No, okay, everybody struggles with the same shit.
I dig it. Let's get into it.
All right. So one of the biggest issues I see, and like I'm probably going to say there are all 5 of these because I think there's a certain consistency to and I think this is business owners as a whole. Number one is most business owners don't do well with consistent structure. They get the shiny object syndrome. They're jumping around. They're trying new things. They're wearing this hat today, that hat tomorrow. They're in this department today, that department tomorrow. And they're just all over the place. So there's no consistency to the vision and the direction of the company. And I always kind of use the same analogy. If you're the captain of a ship and you're down rowing one of the oars, who's running the direction and the mission for the ship, right? There is an autopilot in businesses. You can't leave the captain's chair unattended for days, weeks, or months and think you're going to end up in the right direction. And that, I don't care what your business is.
It's true.
If you're so busy being in your business that you're not in the captain's chair on the captain's level running the ship, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle a lot, and you're not going to know why you're struggling because you are headed in an unknown direction at an unknown speed, thinking you're going to end up exactly where you want to.
What are some of the telltale signs when you're consulting with somebody and you see this? Or what are you looking for to figure out if this is the case or not?
I mean, honestly, it's like always the case. I very rarely not see it as the case. But I think, some things, if you're saying, well, is that me? Which is, is kind of a good way to pose that question is, if you're feeling like you never get enough done, if you're feeling like you don't even know what your targets are, if you don't know what your ideal client looks like, if you don't know what your profit margin is, if you don't know what kind of project you're doing today or tomorrow, if you don't know how far out booked you are, if you don't know what your close rate is, if you don't know what your average project size is, that means you're in your business. And do you need to know all of that to be a successful business owner? No. But I would venture to say, which is probably one of the top 5 as well, most people don't know the health of their company. It's like, is there enough money in the bank account to pay payroll this week? Great, we're successful. No.
Yeah, a lot of business owners operate on what's in the bank.
Correct.
I see it all the time.
All the time. And that, I think it's just because if you were actually on your business and not in it, you would have a lot more time to look at things and track things and make improvements to things so that you could make improvements, have transparency. Most business owners are not bad decision makers. Most business owners are uninformed. So they try to make decisions based on how they feel that day, not on numbers, metrics, and analytics.
That makes a ton of sense. How do you correct that when you go in and you're consulting with someone?
The first thing, I have to teach people how to lead others to success. Because until you as a business owner have faith that the people in your organization can be successful without your oversight or without you being right next to them every day, that's simply the first step. How to communicate, how to set proper expectations, how to track what KPIs, key performance indicators, or metrics should you be tracking to judge the success of that person. That's typically one of the first things I work on, is like helping people understand how to articulate the mission, how to set proper expectations with employees, how to track whether or not they're on pace or doing their job correctly, and then how to hold them accountable or take corrective action if they're not. Like that string of information, most business owners struggle with. That could be the whole fucking episode, right?
I know, right? It's crazy.
It's very common that the lack of trust is typically created by a business owner's inability to properly communicate and set expectations.
I believe it. What's the next or second challenge that you see in the construction industry?
So no clear understanding of what you're best at. And I think this happens in a lot of industries, but I think it happens a lot in construction where it's like, oh, I'm a roofer. Like, well, I might be able to make some money doing fencing. So let's do fencing now. Or I'm a cabinet company. Let's do countertops too. Because it seems like an obvious add-on to make more money. And not that it's not. It can make you more money. But if you're inefficient at doing roofs and tracking your metrics and understanding whether or not you're successful or not, adding complexity to your environment is not going to help you.
Yeah.
I think trying to do too much without systems and processes and trackability and metrics to know whether or not you're successful or not is a big part of why a lot of companies fail, because they're chasing that next $5,000 as opposed to setting their company up for success. You know, in my training and in my online course, you know, identifying what an ideal client looks like to you is one of the first steps, because that helps drive every other decision, like how to market, where to invest, how to qualify a lead when it comes in, what your sales process should look like. It all stems from, what does my ideal client look like? If you don't have an answer for that, then you don't know how to market or what to say, and you're trying to be for everybody. I always use the same kind of example. It's like, if you've ever seen somebody driving down the highway in a van that says, we specialize in this list of 20 different services, that is the opposite of specialization. That is a generalist. And in construction, I don't think one company can be great at 20 different services. Now, let's say there might be some outliers for that guy out there saying, we are, congratulations, you're the anomaly. Most people can't be the best at all those things, and they end up losing money on 5 of their 10 services, and they don't even realize it because they're tracking everything the same, because they don't do job costing appropriately. So they don't realize these types of jobs lose money. These types of jobs make great money. If they were to double down on those other jobs, they'd make a lot more money on less work, but let's keep adding complexities.
That makes a ton of sense. The only reason why my company is set up the way it is because you don't know what someone's going to get qualified for coming in the door or what they need. So, but I do understand if you're not specializing and you're just generalizing, you don't know your costs, you don't know your profit margins, you're
but
basically
even you know what a good avatar looks like for you, which is why you're in RTA and why you're in Apex, and why you're in these groups and why you go to these events. Is you wouldn't know what events to go to if you didn't know what your ideal client looked like.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So you still have some general understanding of like, this is the type of person we're looking for. Because you could ask somebody probably 3 or 4 questions and know whether or not that they're a good fit for your organization or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people can't.
Yeah, that's scary. What do you think the third one is? What do you see a lot in your space that a lot of business owners struggle with or get wrong?
So I think it's kind of a 2-part answer. It's onboarding and training. Most, they're like, I need help. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Here's a list of things to do. Good luck. I'm too busy over here to get you trained properly.
Yeah.
right? I see this happen a lot, right? Like you're just so overwhelmed, so behind on work. You don't even really know how to do that job appropriately or what the expectations are to even train them on what to do. So you just hire them and you say, well, no one ever wants to work around here. No, they just don't even know what work looks like because you don't have a solid onboarding and training program. And so something as simple as like, here's what the first 30 days here should look like. If you don't know what it should look like, how are they supposed to?
Yeah.
And here's the part most people underestimate. The better the employee is, the more granular you need to be on expectations because high performers want to know when they're over delivering. If you just say, hey, I'm so glad you're here, you're the best, good luck, a lot of high performers will flounder in that environment because they're used to overperforming set expectations. I'm sure you've hired some great sales guys, didn't give them guidance and they floundered because they don't know how to operate independently. They know how to over deliver on expectations that you set. Like if you give them the game plan, they'll be great soldiers. They'll go execute really well. If you say, hey, here's the end goal, you figure out how to get there, a lot of people struggle with that.
Agreed.
And so most business owners don't give them the game plan, don't understand what they're supposed to be doing, don't know how to set them up for success, yada, yada, yada. And now that person's stuck trying to figure it out on their own. And there's 100% chance what they come up with is not going to meet your expectations because you didn't have clear expectations. But when you see it, you're going to know you don't like it. And so you're going to reprimand them. And then they're like, well, why the fuck am I even trying creative things here? Because every time I do that, the owner gets mad. I'm not doing it the way that he wants it done, even though he didn't tell me the way he wants it done.
Accurate.
It happened all the time.
I was guilty of that a couple of years ago as well.
Yeah, you onboard people. Yeah. It's like you forgot what it took for you to learn the way that you do.
Yeah.
You're just like in your own head, and then they don't do it the right way, and all of a sudden you're just fucking yelling at everybody, and they don't even know why.
No, we use Trainual now. I know there's a bunch of different services, but Trainual, everything is uploaded. It's put in there. You got your first 30 days, your first 60 days, what accounts you have to set up, how you post, just all of it. And the thing is, it's not something you build out once.
No, you can continually evolves.
Yes, you're adding a couple things each and every month. And you know what? If you get the right people in that settings, it takes a hell of a lot less work, and they're definitely on top of their game.
Well, and even you're like, as the owner, you can't stop everything you're doing every time you have to onboard a new employee. And if you try to, you're going to have a very inconsistent training program because you're going to forget half the shit you didn't say last time.
Yeah.
Right. True. And so like the onboarding process is going to be incredibly inconsistent. So we're going to get different messages based on how you feel that day.
That's true.
Not good.
No, not good.
Not good.
All right. What do you think the fourth is?
I think
it's in progress here.
I mean, I think in general, like just social media and content creation is still a really big sticking point for a lot of people. I think the construction industry, if you look at even how they purchase material and use tools, they're very habitual. It's very loyal. It's like, I can't use that other tool, even though it's better, but because I don't use DeWalt or fuck Ford, right? Yeah. Like they're very like contractors are like loyal to a fault to systems, processes, products, brands. And so getting people to try new things can be a challenge. I mean, I don't think it is for everybody. I think now that we're starting to see like a new wave of like kids taking over their parents' companies.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see a little bit more of that where they're taking social media and content creation more seriously. But I still think as a rule of thumb across the industry, most contractors are not effective at using like just content creation and social media effectively. You know, part of it is they don't really understand what their message actually is or why they're doing it. Or I don't like the way I look on camera. What the fuck do you think you look like in person? It's the same guy. Like it's the same person. Like if you don't like the way you sound and look on camera, then like stop going to people's homes because you're the same person in person, right? So I hear that excuse all the time. I don't like the way I look. Well, what do you think you look like at the kitchen counter? The only difference is you can see you on video. But I just think in general, like having a succinct and solid approach to content is still wildly underutilized.
Yep. I think in your space, it's actually one of the better and easier ways and things that you can show because you guys have so many different projects. I don't care what type of contracting you're in. You can take a before and after and during. And guess what? Now you're showing that you're an expert, right?
Yeah, but even that, people complain like, well, it's just another kitchen. Here's the underlying factor. If you're a contractor or lender or whatever fucking industry you're in, literally the only competitive advantage you have is you.
Yep.
Like you don't have access to like money other people don't have access to. contractors don't have access to different subs or different products or different skill sets. No, it's how you do what you do that differentiates you. So allowing your audience to meet you and hear from you and understand how you do things before they hire you is a huge competitive advantage. Absolutely. Look at me. I'm a business coach. How many fucking coaches are out there? Like, give me a break, right? Like everybody who's successful in business is apparently a business coach after COVID, right? What makes me successful is I put me out there every day.
Yeah.
What I do, how I do, what I believe in, lessons, fun stuff, me as a person, my hobbies, my family, my cars, everything. That allows people to know, like, and trust me. The biggest issue in the construction industry is lack of trust.
Yeah.
So if you show up every day just talking about who you are, what you're doing, what problems you're seeing, how you're solving them, how you overcome fears of your customers, guess what? You become trustworthy. So when the other guy who's been following you for 6 months now needs a kitchen remodel, they feel like they have a relationship with you, even though they've never met you. Guess what? You're going to beat the guy who's showing up for the first time at the front door. So it's not about the products. It's not about the projects. It's not about what you do. It's who you are and how you do what you do. Because a kitchen remodel, when completed, is no different for the most part. It's how you get there. It's how the process works. It's how you solve problems. It's how you communicate. It's how you set expectations. Those are all things that in the past people wouldn't understand or know unless they hired you. Now you can educate them every day about what you're doing and how you're doing and why you're doing without ever meeting a person, and doing it by the hundreds or thousands of viewers at a time, as opposed to only the customer that's standing in front of you.
Absolutely.
That's like really the only reason I win.
Well, no, you are probably one of the most dialed in individuals I've ever met. We know a lot of top performers.
Yeah, but like if you didn't know about it because I didn't put out any content, it wouldn't matter.
That's true.
Right? Like I can be the greatest of all time. If I'm just sitting in my office and the only people that know that are my customers, I'll win. Like most people win, but they get stagnant or their growth is so slow, it's not even enjoyable. It's because the only people you're getting access to are the people who have actively hired you.
Absolutely.
Like if the only people who ever heard from me were the people that learned from me from my first customers 3 years ago, I would not be doing anything near what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Right? Not even, I'd be doing in a year what I'm doing in a month right now because I grew so slow because I was just waiting for the next referral.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is great. Referrals are great, but I'm putting out so much content, I'm almost becoming unavoidable.
Yeah.
Like you can't ignore me anymore. I'm too many places. Like this big win hat everywhere. And like quote unquote, it's becoming a movement at this point.
Yeah.
We're like, you can't get on social media and not see me somewhere if you're in one of my networks.
It's true.
People sharing the book, people sharing the podcast, people sharing the YouTube videos. Like I'm getting 12 to 13,000 views a month on YouTube right now.
That's crazy.
But it just took consistency.
Yep.
Right? That's it.
Consistency over, 12 to 18 months and plugging away. Yeah.
And like also don't be a shithead piece of shit, right? Yes, if I wasn't getting results, I could put all the content in the world and it wouldn't matter because the people who actually hire me are not getting a good experience.
Absolutely.
It'd be hypocritical and fake. But most people, if you do a great job for your customers, you just need to be on social media more and you would gain more of the ideal customer for you.
It's true. At a cheaper acquisition cost and a better process, right? Because they know you, they like you, they trust you, they want to work with you.
Yeah, they recognize you at the front door instead of meeting you at the front door. It's incredibly more powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And less price objections too.
Significantly.
Yes.
It still happens, but significantly.
Yeah, 100%. Last challenge you see in the construction business today, as it relates to what are these guys dealing with? How can we help them? How can we deliver, something that's really going to change the trajectory of a business?
I think there's a lot of little things, right? There's a lot of granular stuff that I could talk about, but I think the biggest one I see on a consistent basis is the lack of interest in evolution, right? Like they don't want to hear it. They don't want to learn. They don't want to try new things. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They don't want to go do something different to get a different result. And in general, most contractors outside of they would search all day, how to install this differently or how this product or tool works all day. Yeah. They won't look up how to run my business better, how to become a better leader, how to communicate better, how to use marketing, how to use social media. They'll coach YouTube's great for how to install stuff, but they won't use it for how to become a better business owner. And I don't know what the right way to say that is. I think it's just like, fear of change is probably the biggest issue, because they'll use resources when it comes to doing the job in the business, like we talked about earlier. But when it comes to getting more comfortable working on your business, they don't want to hear it.
Yep.
And obviously, like, a lot of people that work with me don't feel that way. That's why they hire me. But when I meet somebody for the first time, it's like, what would you teach me? And it's like, a lot? I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, where do you want to begin?
Right. And but they don't want to believe it, right? Like, we're blessed to be around a lot of groups that are filled with people who want to learn.
Absolutely.
But if you took Apex and Arte and Top Contractor School and you took all these together and put them together, it's still like less than 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in the country, in the world, right? It's a very small amount of people. Like, even if you took all of Tony Robbins' events and combined them,
it's still small.
It's still less than a couple million people.
Yeah.
There's 330 million people in the United States. It's a very, very less than 1% of people that I'm aware of that go out as an adult
and actively try to get better. Absolutely.
What is, like, 98% of people don't read a book after high school?
I can't believe that. I mean, I do. It's sad, but that's insane to me.
But yeah, so I think that's a big part. I think just like fear of change, like lack of belief in continuing education, feeling of like, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And like, you wake up 20 years later, like, I probably could have been more, fucking shit. You spent 20 years not trying to get better. Of course you could have been more. So I mean, I don't know the right way to say that. Like I said, I think like growth is probably one of the bigger issues.
And I think something that is overlooked is when you have all those same type of people or same mindset of people in the same room that are willing to collaborate with each other, the growth is exponential with that.
It's incredible. It's I like, how do you explain Arte to people?
It's tough. I mean, it's a movement for good, but yeah. When I was in Arte the first year and people asked, well, how much is it? And I told them, they thought I was out of my mind. Okay. But most of the people that thought that, to be honest, that's probably what their yearly salary was, right?
Fair.
It's a different mindset. I'm willing to invest in myself for growth because it's a trickle-down effect into my companies, my team, my employees, my family, and ultimately that adds up to big wins.
Well, and I think Ed said it on one of the calls more recently, actually. If you want to accomplish exceptional results, you have to take extreme action on things.
Yep.
Like extreme at like its utmost definition. Like, you got to do crazy shit and take extreme risk and take extreme action and invest extreme amounts of money to accomplish anything exceptional.
100%.
And yes, that exceptional is subjective, but like, I'm not knocking anybody because this was me, but making 150 grand a year in a mid-level position for 20 years is not exceptional.
No.
I did it.
You'll be comfortable, but you'll
hate yourself for settling.
100%.
And if you don't believe me, I guarantee if you're that person right now and you're in your 40s or 50s and you've been running a business, you've been a contractor for 20 years, making 150 grand a year, you can tell me you're comfortable, but I bet you have a drinking problem. I bet you don't like yourself that much. I bet you don't have a lot of really great friends. I bet you don't really have a great relationship with your spouse. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying, once you've settled, you will start to beat up every other part of your life because you know for a fact you are capable of more, and you will project that negativity on everything around you.
That's true.
And I'm just telling you because I did it. I see it all the time.
What would be the top 3 takeaways you could give a business owner today to help improve their business? Let's wrap up and finish with that. I know that was a curveball, man.
Come on, 3. All right. 1, do it your way. Stop listening to everybody around you. Like, whether you think they're smarter or not, like, your conscience, your angst, your gut feeling is typically right. Start listening to it. I have found that more people ignore themselves because they don't believe in themselves, or they start to they have a great idea and they come up with 26 reasons it wouldn't work. Just listen to yourself. Take action based on what you believe is true. 2, success in life is not just about the size of your business and the stuff you have. You have to take action to become the best version of you first before anything else will have a chance of working to the level you want it to. So if you are not working out, if you're not drinking water, if you're drinking alcohol all the time, if you eat shitty foods all the time, if you don't read, if you don't stretch, if you don't work out, you know it, you feel it. And I know you feel it because I was fat and I felt it. And I know I'm not different than most people, but if you're not focused on being holistically better on a regular basis, you will feel regret and it will eat at you in the form of anxiety, and that will minimize every other aspect of your life. So work on you first. Listen to you first. And then take action to become the best version of yourself. And I didn't understand it until I started on that journey and really like went all in on it. It's different. And I can't explain it to you, even though I've gone through the journey. I don't know what to tell you as the audience that you should be doing differently, other than if you know you shouldn't be doing it, stop doing it. It could be the women you're talking to, the porn you're watching, the drugs you're doing, the alcohol you're drinking, the attitude you have, whatever it is. There's something in your life you know you're not supposed to be doing anymore. Stop doing it and you'll start to trust yourself more.
I love that. It's true. 75 right there.
I mean, know your numbers. I mean, like, that's not even about you from a financing perspective, but like so many people don't know their numbers. It's disgusting how many people don't know their numbers, because most business owners are not bad decision makers. They're just wildly uninformed. So they make decisions on emotion, which means like if you're the person that says, I wonder what I should charge for this. No, I feel like it should be this. You are failing and you don't even know it. It's bad. If you're making decisions based on emotion, you have to start tracking things. Track your metrics, track your sales, track your activity, track your expenses, track. If you can track it.
I appreciate that. And that's true. I will tell you about 70% of the people that come in and ask me for, hey, I need this piece of equipment. I need a line of credit. I ask them what for, and I try to do the projections for them with them on the phone. They have no idea what type of increase something's going to be in their business. Well, if you don't know, how am I going to convince an underwriter that this is a must-have? Like,
just trust me, Jonathan. Trust me, I need it.
Help me, help you. Help me, help you. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Where can they find you if they want to get your coaching services and work with you, which I highly recommend, because let me tell you guys something. I'm not saying this because Mike's here and he gave me this time. We were at an event together. We were both speaking, and he took the time to show us what was on his computer and how organized his day is. And I can tell you I've implemented some of it and made massive changes and really helped me. And I know if I did that 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would be so much further ahead. So this guy just fucking gets it.
Well, I appreciate that. If you're on YouTube right now, Mike Claudio is the channel. The Big Stud Podcast is my podcast. At WinRate Consulting on Instagram is where I primarily engage. And then if you want to hear more in written form, my book just released, #2Strong. Purchase that on Amazon if you're interested.
I actually have it. I got a copy for me and my wife.
Sweet.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.